Let's do a quick T9 Rig Rundown. Did I say quick? Is there anything quick about my post or anything? Anyway, Seritone OTS 50 watt amp going into a 112 loaded with an EVM 12L. Settings, I pretty much just keep the volume and the master both at 2. The bright switch is up right now. A lot of times I put that down. The deep is always on, rock is always on, and treble's always noon. Mids always are right around where it's at. And that's about the rest. You can see it. The overdrive I keep at what I call the Y position. That's pretty popular. I don't use the gain side or the lead side of this amp too often, but if I do, that would be the settings. And then I run into a Dr. Scientist reverberator that goes into a clonulator, which then goes into the loop of the amp. Those are my settings. Reverberator I keep generally either on a Hall sound or a plate sound. Once in a while I'll go to the rotary sound, which they have, which is pretty cool. And then that sits on top of a Grama Joe B, which helps with a little bass, a little booming bass that I get once in a while. Not a lot, maybe a little bit, but if anything it helps house a few extra pedals that I might have been working with a little bit, and some of those are out. You can see a Deja Vibe by Full Tone. The orange one is a Providence Heat Blaster. The colorful one there is a Boiling Point. Loop pedal, Aquapus, TU2. My first pedal ever, a Boss DM2, which is almost always on my board. I don't know why it's not on right now. And then over around the bend, a couple of those Mayer pedals. There's a TS10 Japan and a BB1. Both of those are new old stocks. They were in the original bags and been unscathed. They are literally brand new. Pretty cool. So I'll have to call that a NOS, but you don't get any newer than those. They're literally like untouched. I might have plugged them in a few times here in the bedroom and still didn't sound like John Mayer. Okay, so we go over to the 2-rock. I use pick-wise. We never talk about that stuff, but when I use a pick, I use a Dunlop 1.0, and that's pretty much it right there. And then I run into 2-rock jet, which is a 22 watt. This is an older 2-rock jet, probably about 6-7 years old. It's a blue Tolex, and my settings are generally treble right around noon. Mids are right around 9-10 o'clock. Looks like 10 o'clock. Bass around 1. Gain and master always stay together, so they're always around 9-10 o'clock. Gain, lead, master are at noon. So if I was to turn on the lead channel of this amp right now, it would be above unity volume of the clean. So it would be a good place for me to get a little boost in volume and a hair of grit on there. So if I was just using guitar into the amp for a little jam or something, that's what I would use that for. But I don't use it too often. Reverb always stays around 10 o'clock to noon. I like a little bit of a reverby, wet kind of sound. And then that also runs through that speaker there in the combo, but then also through the 4-ohm through the back. I plugged in a 2-rock SIG 112 cab. And quickly, the pedals are a Cornish cable into an RMC8, into a turbo tuner, which then goes into a Klon, which is that clean boost. It's all the way off on the drive or the gain setting. Trebles at noon. Output's right around 11 o'clock, which puts it a little bit louder than unity volume of the amp. And then I start with the heaviest gain pedals. I like that. Everybody's got different ways to do it. I go with a Cusack version 2 fuzz pedal, so that's my highest gain pedal. It's currently on my board, which is at a pretty gnarly fuzz setting right there. Kind of think of Mayer, Crossroads, and a little bit more. So it's breaking up pretty wild, and I like that actually on that pedal. It's a great pedal, and you can twist the knobs on that and actually turn it into a really, really good tube screamer. Excuse me. A great pedal right there for 200 bucks, people. Zen Drive, I never got along with that pedal too often, but I just bought another one, and it's on the board again, and that would be my second highest gain setting pedal for dirt, shall I say, and then it descends down in dirt levels down to the Dumb Kudo, which is a great pedal. Then there's a Providence cable that pops out of that and goes over to a Providence Sav 2 or a Stampede, so that's at a gain of around 9, so that's almost kind of clean boosty almost. Very little dirt coming out of that. And then that goes into a Providence Final Booster, which helps add a little sparkle or revitalizes my tone a little bit. as well as a slight boost in the signal. So I like to push my amp a little bit because I'm playing at low volumes. So I like to try to simulate rather a amp turned up a little bit. So that's my little way of doing it. Helps thicken up the tone. But again, that kind of adds a little sparkle. A little high end comes back a little bit. Really cool. I think that helps out with all the long hoses, or shall we say cables, runs that help diminish a little tone. That then runs into a T-Rex replica, which is really set lightly just to add a little thickness again to the tone. So everything I do is always trying to maximize thickness without going to humbuckers and still using a Strat. And then I go over to a Tone Bone, what is that, a Radial JX2, which is an ABY, which connects both amps together. So I can play both amps at the same time or isolate them. And I can tell right now it's on one, so that's the 2-rock that's on right now there. And so that's kind of the rig. I'll quick put this down, and I'll quick throw the pedals on and off real quickly. And not sure where this camera is going to go, but here we go. Okay, so let's turn everything off. We'll leave just the T-Rex on. This is actually off. That's on. That's off. And so my natural tone is. Now a little extra sparkle. So, and then the Klon, we'll take the booster off. The Klon for me is, again, this is just straight. Alright, final booster. So stock tone would be Klon on and final booster on the way they are. So this is stock tone for me. Alright, so quickly over to then the fuzz, which is going to be pretty gnarly. There we go, Zen Drive. A little less, more amp-like here now. Up to the Sov 2, which you'll hear very little. And that's pretty much it. And so for a lot of the lead tones, I would generally go, right now I would go Zen Drive and Dumb Kudo on. That's about it. Cheers.